Now we'll see about the partial pressure which is maintained by the general anesthetics, and this is actually very much important in case of induction and maintenance of unconsciousness. See, basically transfer of the anesthetics between lung and brain depends upon a series of tension gradient which can be like from alveoli to blood and from blood to the brain. Okay, and the factors affecting the partial pressure of the anesthetic attained in the brain are mainly six factors are being presented, okay, which mainly determines or which mainly affects the partial pressure of your general anesthetics. These are, first of all, partial pressure of anesthetics in the inspired gas, next pulmonary ventilation, alveolar exchange, solubility of anesthetic in blood, solubility of anesthetic in tissue, and lastly what we want, the cerebral blood flow. Okay, so now we'll see these factors one by one. Okay, so the initial thing is the partial pressure of anesthetic in the inspired gas. Okay, as you can see over here. So what it says means this is proportional to its concentration in the inspired gas mixture. Okay, and obviously higher the higher the inspired tension, more anesthesia will be transferred to the blood. Okay, so via nose, if you are taking more amount or you can say more tension of the gas, obviously more will be transferred to the blood. Okay, so this is the first factor. Okay, so what does first factor says? It says that higher the inspired tension, more anesthesia and anesthetics will be transferred to the blood. Okay, so higher the concentration, higher will be the concentration presented to the blood, isn't it? So that only says, okay, so partial pressure of anesthetic in the inspired gas, higher the partial pressure, higher will be the concentration presented to the blood. So this is the first factor. Second factor is the pulmonary ventilation. Okay, as you can see over here, I have drawn a very small alveoli. Okay, obviously we will have so many alveoli present over here, but just I have drawn a single alveoli. I believe you people can understand. Okay, so this pulmonary ventilation means it is nothing but the transfer or delivery of the general anesthetics into your alveoli. That's it. So that is pulmonary ventilation. Now the question is, how can we increase the pulmonary ventilation? Yes, by producing hyperventilation, or you can say by respiratory stimulation. When we stimulate respiration, more amount of the gas will be transferred to the alveoli. If we produce respiratory depression, less amount of the gas will be transferred to the alveoli. Okay, so this is about the pulmonary ventilation. Pulmonary ventilation is nothing but transferring the general anesthetic gas into the alveoli, which can be done by hyperventilation, or you can say by respiratory stimulation. Next factor is the third factor, that is alveolar exchange. Okay, here I have written in the third number, alveolar exchange. Alveolar exchange means exchange of the gas taking place from the alveoli into your blood circulation. Okay, it is a blood capillary where the gas will be transferred. Okay, that is alveolar exchange. Now this transfer of the gas into the blood mainly depends upon two important things. First of all, alveolar ventilation and alveolar perfusion. Okay, so both are very much required for good transfer of the drug or of the gas into your blood circulation. Okay, now alveolar ventilation means when large amount of gas is being inhaled, so it is said to be a good alveolar ventilation. Good alveolar perfusion means when large amount of blood is being presented to the alveoli, or you can say when there is very good blood circulation over here. Okay, when blood circulation is good, it can take more amount of gas into itself, isn't it? Now the problem occurs when there is mismatch. Okay, the thing will be all right when the when the ventilation is also good and when perfusion is also good. Ventilation is good means large amount of gas is being inhaled. Perfusion is good means there is very good blood supply. Okay, and large amount of gas is taken in large amount means there is very good valvular ventilation, and simultaneously when there is a very good blood supply means that large amount of the drug or that large amount of the anesthetic, inhalation kind of anesthetic, whatever is taken, because of good blood circulation, it large amount is getting transferred into the blood. So this is an ideal condition. But problem occurs when there is mismatch between the alveolar ventilation and alveolar perfusion. Okay, if any one of them fails, a poor amount of the drug will be transferred to the blood. Okay, now suppose the blood supply is very good, but the problem is that alveolar ventilation is poor. Alveolar ventilation is poor means less amount of inhalational anesthetic is been taken up into the alveoli. Okay, when the amount of drug present in the alveoli is only less, then if the blood circulation is also good means it will transfer very little amount of the gas, isn't it? So this is a mismatch. Here blood circulation, the alveolar perfusion is very good, but the alveolar ventilation is somewhat poor. Okay, now quite opposite to this thing, suppose alveolar ventilation is absolutely perfect, large amount of drug is getting inhaled, or you can say large amount of inhalational anesthetic is getting inhaled and it is presented in the alveoli, but the alveolar perfusion is very much poor, means the blood supply is very much poor. So because of which even if large amount of drug is present in the alveoli, it can transfer very little amount of the drug. Okay, so this is known as mismatch between alveolar ventilation and alveolar perfusion that will affect the alveolar exchange. So this is also one of the factor. Next important factor, the fourth factor, is solubility of anesthetic in the blood. Okay, now whatever drug or whatever your inhalational anesthetic is been taken up in the blood vessel. Now what happens when the drug, our drug is obviously our inhalational anesthetic, if it is having good solubility in the blood. Okay, I have made a diagram. If you can imagine, it is a kind of blood vessel. Okay, a blood vessel with blood. Okay, here is your blood. Okay, and some amount of your inhalational anesthetic is soluble in the blood and some amount is not soluble. Okay, so this solubility of the anesthetic in blood, it can be determined by blood gas partition coefficient. Okay, first of all we'll see about this thing and then you will get to know about this. Blood gas partition coefficient is nothing but the concentration of the gas, that is your inhalational general anesthetic, concentration of the gas in the blood divided by the concentration of the gas. Okay, now whatever general anesthetic, whatever you have inhaled, if suppose it is soluble, suppose it is having a good solubility in blood, means what will happen, if it is having good solubility in blood, then we need to wait for a long time unless and until the entire blood get totally saturated with the anesthetic, and after completion of the saturation, little amount of the drug which is unsaturated means undissolved form, or you can say present in the gaseous form, that gaseous form will then finally move to the brain to produce the action. Okay, so any anesthetic, any inhalational anesthetic, if it is having a good solubility in blood, that means we need to wait for a long period of time until and unless the entire blood gets saturated with that inhalational anesthetic, and after completion of saturation, still if whatever gaseous form of the drug is remain, and that gaseous form of the drug will go to the brain and will produce the action. So this is somewhat undesirable. Now second situation, in the second situation we have got a drug which is having very poor solubility in the blood. What happens if the drug is having poor solubility in the blood? That means the anesthetic will remain in the gaseous form. Okay, in dissociated form, in the gaseous form, and then when it is present in the gaseous form, it can directly move to the brain and produce the action, which is much more desirable, isn't it? So that means this is an important factor. Okay, it is an important factor in the induction of the anesthesia and even maintenance and withdrawal of the anesthesia. Okay, any drug, any inhalational anesthetic drug which is having bad or poor solubility in the blood will produce faster action, okay, as compared to the drug which is having good blood solubility. Okay, so any inhalational anesthetic which is having good solubility in the blood will produce very late action. Why? Because it need to get diluted completely in the blood unless and until it get completely saturated in the blood, and after getting saturated, the extra form, the gaseous form, whatever is available, it will then go and produce the action. So it will take more time. Okay, so it mainly says about the duration, isn't it? Any anesthetic, any inhalational anesthetic which is having poor solubility in the blood will be fast acting, and any inhalational anesthetic which is having good solubility in the blood will be producing action very late. Okay, a very simple example is your desflurane. Okay, desflurane is said to be fastest acting. Why? Because it is having very poor solubility in the blood. Okay, and one more example I'll give, that is methoxyflurane. Methoxyflurane is said to be very slowest acting. Okay, very slow acting. So it is slow acting, that means it is having very good solubility in blood. Okay, blood soluble, or you can say very good soluble in blood, whereas in case of desflurane it is poorly soluble in blood. Okay, so this is about the solubility of the anesthetic in blood. So any anesthetic which is having poor blood solubility will be acting very fast, and any drug which is having good solubility in the blood will be acting very slow. Okay, so this is about the solubility of the anesthetic in the blood. The next factor is solubility of the anesthetic in tissue. So relative solubility of the anesthetic in blood and tissue determines its concentration in that tissue at the equilibrium. So most of the general anesthetics are equally soluble in lean tissues as in the blood, but more soluble in fatty tissues. Anesthetics with higher lipid solubility like halothane continue to enter the adipose tissue for hours and also leave it slowly. The concentration of these agents is much higher in the white matter than in the grey matter. Okay, next, the last factor is your cerebral blood flow. Okay, so brain is highly perfused organ, isn't it? Because blood is it is a kind of organ which will get a large blood supply. Okay, so as a general anesthetics are quickly delivered to it. This can be hastened by carbon dioxide inhalation, which causes cerebral vasodilation, thereby induction and recovery are accelerated. Carbon dioxide stimulates respiration, and this also speeds up the transport.